Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Made it to Friday. What a nice feeling. First week of the year as well. Um, well done. I have loved seeing everyone's comments on the classes that you've done so far. So, loving this. But welcome to our restorative yoga class. I encourage you to grab some blankets, maybe some bed pillows if you have them handy, or like some chunky cushions. And if you happen to have a yoga block, you might want to use that too. Yoga blocks are not a necessary purchase by any stretch, but you might just feel like it's more sturdy than potentially using like a Tupperware or a thick book, but both are perfect as well. So we're just going to get into it. Let's just go. My style of restorative yoga, we still move quite a bit, but it's in a much more mindful and like intuitive way. So there will be moments where there will be moments where it might feel better to kind of just wiggle around in a posture and not like stay still, and I very much encourage that. Please don't feel like you need to be static. Hello, so nice to have you all here. Okay, so we will start just sitting down. So maybe you want to sit on a pillow or a bolster or a block, whatever you've got handy. You can sit on your knees or sit cross-legged, whatever's more comfortable for you. And maybe just take a moment and close down your eyes. Your hands can maybe rest onto your thighs or just a part of your body, feeling the sensation of your body underneath your fingertips. And it might just be like this sort of gentle warmth, a little reminder of you as a living, breathing organism. And we've moved quite a bit this week, and whether you've done one class or you've caught up on all of the classes, just be really proud of yourself for getting to this point. Whenever you're doing this class, maybe just remind yourself why you gave your physical being this opportunity for 4 weeks of movement, and why you're committing to yourself for maybe half an hour every other day just to move your body. And try not to actively change the breath in any way, but move into that inhalation through the nose and exhalation out through the nose. Again, if you're struggling maybe a little bit with breath at the moment, or just doesn't feel quite natural to breathe in and out through the nose, and maybe let your breath come out through the mouth, a little bit like you're blowing out through a straw. It's kind of full, long exhalation. Maybe it's a little bit longer than your inhalation. Just scan the space between your ears and the top of your shoulders. Maybe check in and see what's going on there. Are your shoulders traveling upwards? Can you let them drop a little bit? Maybe allow the belly, potentially for the first time today, to relax and to soften, and just let it expand as you breathe. One more really nice deep breath just as you are, without changing anything unless it really feels good. You can gently blink open the eyes if that feels nice. Start to reach your arms out alongside your body. So reach like a big arm span, like you've got wings. And then grab yourself by crossing one arm over the opposite into this cuddle. It's called like a coffin cross, but that's not very nice, is it? So one arm is on top of the other, and grab a hold of your shoulders and just start to lean yourself over to your left. And then we'll round through the spine a little bit, that cat back. So chin in towards chest, and you'll feel the back of your body start to spread open a little bit. And then like we're stirring a pot, lean yourself more forward. So we're in this kind of rounded cat back, and then start to lean over to the right. We'll then lean all the way back, trying to keep everything on top of your pelvis, but there's this sort of leaning back of the skull, the shoulders, until you roll over the back of the pelvis, and then all the way back over to the right. We'll do that 2 more times. So then just start to round and lean over left hip, coming all the way forward. And depending on like space and how your body's feeling, you might be able to really round all the way forward, or you might feel a little bit restricted. The back bend might feel a little bit funky, so don't roll all the way back if it just needs to be a slight lean. 1 more this way. And just notice all these little like pops or niggles or little, bits of tension that you fall into as you move. Next time you come back over your left hip, let's just reverse it. So start to lean all the way back towards your tailbone, maybe over your feet if your knees are bent, and then over to right, and then start to roll the spine forward. Maybe we found a little bit more space than we had to begin with. And you can really just start to explore the length around the sides of the waist. That's what we're going to focus a little bit more on today, as well as potentially getting a little bit into our hips, because I'm sure some of us are feeling a little bit tender. 1 more big circle over your hip bones. It's like almost your ribs are this barrel that is rolling over the top of your hip bones. Bring yourself all the way back in. Really big wide arm span again. Spread your chest up to the ceiling. Even allow yourself to lean back a little bit more, so ribs draw forward. And then just other arm on top, cross your arms, and just give yourself a big cuddle and round everything in. So let yourself just fold over your legs a little bit, kind of like you're caving in, trying to make yourself really small. Chin stays tucked in. And bring yourself all the way back up. 1 more time, just big arm span, spread through the collarbones and the chest. And then arms reach up over your head. Stack your head and shoulders back over your hip bones, so there's no extension through the back body. You're almost trying to draw your tailbone slightly underneath you. Grab onto 2 imaginary ropes up over your head, and then pull your elbows down towards your rib cage. So there's this spreading again through the chest. 1 more time. Inhale. Exhale, pull it down. We'll come back to this feeling in a moment. Release your hands down. You might shimmy out through your shoulders. Don't know why I clicked there. Felt great. Now grab your block, your pillow, your bolster, whatever you've got. If you've got a block, it's just a little bit more solid. You might even want an additional block or a pillow for under your head. We're going to lie on top of the block. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have 1 block underneath my head, 1 block underneath my rib cage. And the block will just lie, and you can do this with pillows as well, so don't feel like you need a block. The block will just lie at the base of your the base of your shoulder blades, on your rib cage. Hands to the back of your skull. Hopefully I'm not all muffled here, sorry. Hands to the back of your skull. Draw your elbows in close so you'll feel your shoulder blades in the back of your shoulders and like into your upper trap. Start to spread open a little bit, and then tuck again, chin in. So let yourself have a double chin, feet plant firmly on the ground, and then just start to lean back. So it's that sort of leaning sensation that we explored at the beginning there. Your head might start to land onto whatever object you've put onto the floor. That's absolutely fine, but then we're just going to set it back up. So it's like a little mini crunch, chin towards chest, and then let yourself round over the block. Now this might start to feel a little bit uncomfortable to begin with. Please try and persevere with it unless there's any pain. I want you to just keep rocking and rolling forward and back a couple of times. And if you want to add in a little bit more movement, you might want to just roll. So like from side to side. So very similar to that rolling over the hips that we did at the start. So it's like you're drawing circles with your elbows, if that visualization helps. And then you might switch direction, go the other way. And again, this might feel like a little bit of a massage on the upper back, but then for some of us, this might be really confronting. So just be very mindful of what your body needs. And I've got my block on quite a high setting. You might want to take it down a notch. So you might want to bring it down more flat, which is absolutely fine. Set yourself up one more time. Sort of look towards your belly button almost. And then let yourself roll over and then place your head down wherever it lands onto that object. You can keep your hands behind your skull if you enjoy that security and you feel like your chin is poking up to the ceiling. That's what we want to try and avoid, okay? So we want to try and keep that chin locked in, spacious through the back of the neck. And then if you feel comfortable enough to do so, start to reach your arms over your head. We'll get that pulling down sensation. So grab a hold of those ropes over your head and then pull your elbows towards your hip bones into this sort of cactus shape. So your arms are bent. Two more like that. So start to reach arms overhead and then pull them down. And this should feel quite nice around the shoulder girdle and the ribs. One more time. Inhale. You might even get this really generous stretch for the front of your chest, you know, like where your armpits are. That can feel quite nice. Then we'll hold it in this cactus position. If your hands meet the floor, that's perfect. If not, it's also perfect. You can just let them hover. Drop your knees over to the left-hand side, not all the way to the point where you feel like really funky in the low back. Just let them pivot over to the side. Make sure that this top glute, so that'll be your right glute, is really firm. We know what that feels like now. And then with this right elbow, like you're performing like a fly in the gym, and don't worry if you don't know what that means, just keep the bend in the elbow. Pull your elbow so that it's in line with your chest. So your thumb is maybe over your face, your forearm is parallel with the ground, and then your elbow's over your chest. And then see if you can just rotate it a little bit more towards your left armpit. Then return it towards the ground. We'll do that 2 more times. So your knees are over to left, and then you're just pulling elbow over towards left armpit. Should feel quite intense through the right side of your chest there. One more time. Draw it in. And then bring it all the way back out. Knees come back through center. You can wiggle your feet back in line and then drop knees over to right. Again, just be mindful of like this really twisting into the low back. Only move over to the degree that feels okay. And then the top glute will be quite firm. Again, you can keep your knees to center if the twist is too much. 3 little flies. So your left elbow will come over your chest, and then see if you can just cross it across the body, keeping a fist with your hand, and your forearm is pulling towards your shoulder. So your arm's in a 92-degree angle. Then pull it back to the floor. 2 more around it in. Bring your elbow over your chest. Maybe see if you can pull it more towards your right armpit. And then back to the ground. 1 more time, bring it over. And then back all the way over. Okay, bring your knees back through center. Grab a hold of your skull and then roll yourself. So elbows will pull back in towards your head. Cradle your head in your hands and then roll yourself over the block. 1 elbow comes down onto the earth. Rock over onto your side. Remove the block and then just let yourself lie down for a moment. You'll maybe need to remove also the block that's underneath your head unless that feels nice. And maybe just check in and notice like how the front of the chest is feeling. We were in that fish position. That's what that posture is called, is fish. We're in that for a little while. So you might have this kind of sensation of opening and like a new sort of release in the thoracic spine. Take another deep inhale. Maybe feel exhale. And you can just rock yourself over onto your right hip bone. Right forearm will come underneath your body. So your right elbow and your right shoulder is stacked on top of each other. Then kick your knees out in front and then your feet together. Grab onto your right rib cage and just gently assist it up and away from the floor with your left hand. Now this left hand will come to the back of the head, and you maybe feel like you're lying on a beach, which would be lovely, wouldn't it? Especially it's snowing here today, which is just insane. But anyway, with this left elbow pointing up to the ceiling, start to rotate your chest up more towards the sky, like you're leaning back into your hand. Again, make sure that the chin isn't leaning back unless that feels particularly nice. I don't like that craning in my neck, but you're very welcome to do so. I like to thread my head back into my hand a little bit, and then there's just a gentle resistance with the hand back into the head. Now round it in, left elbow towards right hand. You feel this kind of twisting through the spine and like you're rotating your chest to the ground. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, lean it back, elbow to ceiling, point your elbow back as much as you can, lift your chest, and then round it in, elbow to floor. And there's this sort of rotation. Inhale, lean it back 1 more time, and then exhale, round it in. Now from here, maybe you bring your left forearm onto the floor and then push out of your forearms and get that sort of angry cat sensation in your upper back. Keep your chin drawing in towards your sternum bone. Hands come to the floor. Flip yourself over onto your other side. So maybe shimmy out through your shoulders as you just flip around. I'm just going to switch sides, but you can just roll over. And we'll do that on the other side. So left forearm down, left elbow and left shoulder is stacked on top of each other. Maybe bring your right hands to your ribs and just stop them from sinking down. And it means that you've got more support in this left shoulder. Knees kick out, feet together. Right hand then comes to the back of the head. Push the head actively into your hand, and then there's just a very gentle push back of the hand into the head. And then rotate chest to ceiling, lean it back more. And round it in. So right elbow comes towards right hand. It doesn't need to touch it. But we're twisting through our spine and then also flexing. Inhale. Elbow to ceiling. Chest starts to rotate. And then round it in. And allow the upper back to really puff up to the ceiling, and you'll feel like the rib cage start to expand backwards. 1 more inhale. Exhale, round it in. Maybe the forearm lands on the floor and you can just actively push and get that protraction feeling through your shoulders, like you're a cat doing its morning stretches. Then release the hands to the floor. Start to come onto your hands and knees. Maybe sit back on your heels and just shimmy out through the shoulders. I hope that your upper body is really starting to feel a lot freer. Knees will come wide, toes together. Bring your block or your pillow out in front of you so that you can bring your hands onto it in an arm's distance away. So it's a little bit further away from you than if you were just to put your hands out in front of you. It's like a reaching position. Grab a hold of that block and then use it to pull your chest forward. So you're kind of actively, again, isometrically pulling your block back as you lift the chest towards the front of the mat. Chin is welcome to lift up to the ceiling if that feels nice. And you've got this really big arch and dip through the lower back. Now we'll do the opposite. Push the ground away. Scoop your tailbone underneath you so that your pubic bone starts to pull towards your chin, and there's this big lengthening and rounding through the back like you're trying to cocoon yourself in. You can push your hands actively into that block. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, pull the chest forward, arch through the back, tailbone lifts the ceiling, chin might come with it, and round it in. Push actively into the block, really active through your arms, scooping your navel underneath you. 1 more time. Move with your breath, maybe wiggle around a little bit if that feels nice. And then push it away, round. And you can kind of almost get that feeling of siphoning, for want of a better word, the guts up into your low spine, which actually feels really supportive. Okay, bring yourself back through a more neutral position. Left hand stays on the block. You might want to bring it more out in line with your left knee. Right hand to the back of the skull, and then rotate your chest towards your right inner thigh and lean back more again. So just like we did when we were lying down. Maybe if it's available to you, right hand reaches to the ceiling, only if there's no shoulder issues. Then right arm will thread underneath left, push into left hand onto that block, and then see if you can bring your right shoulder and your right ear to the ground. If not, grab that block and then bring your block underneath your head as a little pillow, and then left fingertips come back onto the ground, and then you can actively push out of left fingertips just to rotate you more underneath. So it's like you're trying to reach for something over off to the left side of your mat. Lean more into your right inner thigh. Okay, we'll start to unravel, so press down through left palm, bring yourself all the way back up, grab your block again, bring it out in front of you, cat and cow. So inhale, chest comes forward, belly drops down, chin might go up. Push into your block, round through your upper back and scoop your tailbone underneath you. Find a neutral position, block might shimmy over to the right, block onto hand, left hand to the back of your skull. There's that little bit of resistance of head into hand as you rotate your chest, and then lean more towards your right inner thigh as you point your elbow up to the ceiling. If it feels comfortable to do so, start to reach your arms. You're in that big arm span. And then thread left arm underneath right. So left shoulder comes to the ground. Left ear might reach. If not, grab that block, bring it onto the floor so that your head's got some support. Right fingertips come back onto the earth. And then you can use a little bit of force of that right arm to push into the ground, and then let yourself rotate more towards your right inner thigh. And we've moved our spine quite a lot now, so there should be a little bit more availability than you maybe would have expected. And hopefully this feels quite nice. You can let your left ribs kind of pop themselves over towards the cushioning of your left inner thigh. Okay, right hand returns back to the floor. Bring your self back through center. Hands can come onto the block. One more round of cat and cow. So inhale, pull everything forward. Exhale, round and scoop. Okay, bring yourself back through center. Have your block handy in case you need it, but I'm going to get you off of your knees. So tuck your toes under and come into your downward facing dog. We won't be here for long, but push nice and actively through your hands. Soften through your knees and maybe shorten your stance more than you think that you should. So I don't want you to be like as long as the mat and almost in like a plank. Maybe walk your hands a little bit closer to you so that you're in this real upside down V position. And bend your knees more so that your ribs and your thighs might meet each other, or they'll be very close. Now start to walk your hands back to your feet. Maybe bring your block with you if you might need it. Soft bend in your knees, so let your knees be super bent. Right hand comes onto the block, right underneath your face. Try and not crane your chin forward. I know it's hard. Then left hand comes to left shoulder. And then you're going to use that hand to pull your elbow to the ceiling as you start to rotate. Bend through your right knee and then let your left leg straighten. So we're twisting towards the left, and you're almost leading the twist of your chest with this left hand on your left shoulder. Let your right ear drop towards your right shoulder as that pushes out through the block. Left arm might reach up to the ceiling. That's totally optional. Now return left hand to the ground. Both knees are bent. It's left hand onto block. Bend left knee. Right hand comes to right shoulder. Start to lead this pull. It's like you're pulling your right shoulder up towards the sky. Right elbow might reach up towards the ceiling, and then let your left ear dangle down. Right leg's on stretch. Left knee is bent. You're pushing actively out of your base hand. Right arm might reach to the ceiling. So there should be this like gentle pull along the top of your right hip as well. Let your hands come back to the floor. Let your head hang heavy. Maybe grab a hold the back of the skull like we did in our fish. So you can draw your elbows in nice and close, cradle your head, and then push the head actively back into your hands a little bit, and just get that nice sort of juicy. I almost think it's like a little bit of a nervy stretch along the back of my neck and my shoulders. It feels really nice for me. Then hands to the floor. Start to walk your hands out into your plank position, but right away your knees will drop to the ground. With your knees on the ground, I want you to spin your left toes off of the mat and then start to rotate so that you are stacking your left hip on top of your left knee, but right knee is bent facing the back of the mat. So you have left hand and left shoulder on top of each other, left knee and left hip. Your hips are really open towards the right side of the mat, and then right toes face the back. This right hand, you might bring the hand to the back of the skull again and lean a little bit back, but really actively push your hips towards the right side of your mat. Maybe right arm reaches alongside your ear and you might side bend. You get that really big open stretch from the right knee all the way to the base of the right ribs. Return right hand to floor, right knee to floor, cat and cow. Inhale, drop the belly, chest goes forward, tailbone lifts. Exhale, round and puff through your upper back. Scoop your navel up and in towards your lumbar spine. Bring it back through center. This time, right toes shift. Left knee bends towards the back of the room. So there's this almost like thrusting of the hips towards the left side of the room. Right hand is firmly planted under right shoulder. Right knee right under right hip. And then left toes face the back of the room. Maybe left hand to the back of the skull, and you can just kind of get that proprioception, so that awareness of where your head is in space. Or you can let your left fingertips reach towards the front of the room, and it's almost like you're trying to spread the space between each left rib cage, each left rib bone, all the vertebrae of your ribs. You're trying to make the space between them really big. Return left hand to floor, left knee to floor, cat and cow. Okay, and then return to your downward facing dog. So feet might pedal out a little bit, just get off your knees. One more time, we'll do those little twists in your forward fold. So start to walk your hands back towards your feet, let your head hang really heavy. Maybe you interlace your hands around your elbows or hands to the back of the skull. You might use your block again, or maybe there's a bit more freedom. Left hand to the ground, bend left knee, right hand to right shoulder, and then start to rotate. Right arm might reach this time, left ear drops to left shoulder. Move through it a little bit quicker. This time, if you would like, start to reach your arm alongside your ear, so towards the front of the room as you plant the right hand, bend right knee, left arm to ceiling, right hand pushes out the ground, right knee is bent. We'll do it one more time. So extend left arm alongside ear, start to round and open, bend left knee, right leg straightens, right arm to ceiling, left ear drops. Last time, reach arm alongside ear, hand to floor, right knee bends, left arm to sky, right ear to right shoulder. Then just start to windmill the arm up and over you, forward fold. Walk your hands all the way forward into a plank position. Then I want you to just lower yourself all the way to the floor. So knees to ground, bend your elbows, lower it down. Inhale, pull your chest through and just squeeze your shoulder blades. Lift into a little baby cobra and then lower it down. One more time like that. Inhale. And then exhale, lower. Push yourself into your tabletop position. And then roll yourself all the way onto your back. Grab your blocks. This time we'll be in a less sort of active fish, but we're just going to return to that because I want you to feel now this space that we have created in and around the ribs and the thoracic spine. So you might even want to grab, that's what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to get a pillow, so a big pillow, and place that underneath my ribs, and then I'll get my block and put that underneath my head. Okay, so set yourself up. Maybe it's a couple of bed pillows, so it's a bit more restorative. Hands to the back of the skull, get that little sit up feeling, so elbows draw in, and then just gently start to lower your head over the bolster or the block. Head lands onto whatever's there, and then whatever you want to do with your arms. So you might want to keep them underneath your head. You might want to let your arms go out nice and wide. Maybe you quite enjoyed those little knee swivels, so you could maybe roll through a couple of them, just rocking your knees side to side. A gentle twist through the low back area, if that felt nice. And I quite like to bring my feet together and my knees out wide. But if you have quite a lot of low back issues, or you're just feeling a little bit tight, then it might actually feel better to bring your feet wide and then drop your knees into center. And you can stay here for as long as you need, because it is quite delicious. But if at any point you feel like it's too much, even just with the pillows, then just remove them and lie yourself down. And I just want you to close your practice here. And so this is the opportunity for you this evening, or whenever you're doing this class, to now fully immerse yourself into the experience of your practice. Reminding yourself that the physical asana, the actual physical part of the practice, is only a very, very small fraction of yoga and why we practice. So please take your time to fully relax and find a place within your body that feels able to do that. And that might not be lying down, that might be sitting up, it might be kneeling, or maybe rolling over onto one side. Try to get yourself into a comfortable position where you can really allow the body to relax. And there might be things going on around you, you might have stuff still to do, but this is not the time to be thinking about that. And whether you stay here for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe you fall asleep, and you'll do what feels right for you and for what you need. So thank you as always for practicing with me and for allowing me to guide you this week. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I cannot wait till Monday. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.